Hello there folks, how are you? It's lovely to see you again as usual, and a very warm welcome back to What's for Tea. I hope that I find you very well indeed, and would you look at these bad boys? These are absolutely delicious. These are classic fruit scones piled high with fresh cream and jam, and there's some strawberries in there as well. These are just amazing. So these are larger than average scones, but you can of course make them smaller if you prefer. This is everything that I'm using here, but all of these ingredients will be underneath the video. So I've got an egg just for glazing at the end. I've got some unsalted cold butter, some cream, milk. I've got some self-raising flour, sultanas, some sugar, and then obviously the jam and some baking powder as well. But like I said, all of these ingredients will be underneath the video in the description box, so you can come back and refer to that. You know, it'll save you watching the whole video again. So the first thing we're going to do is mix the dry ingredients. So in that bowl there, I've just got my self-raising flour. To that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then to that I'm going to add my sugar. I'm using caster sugar, but if you don't have any caster sugar, just use ordinary white granulated sugar. Just give that a really good mix together just to make sure everything is combined. And to that I'm going to add my cold unsalted butter. You will want this really cold. This is straight from the fridge, and it's just going to make, you know, rubbing your butter and flour together so much easier. So that's all you have to do next, is just with your fingertips rub the fat into the flour until the butter completely disappears into the flour. This will take you a good few minutes. You can do this in a food processor as well if you don't want to do this, but I always think doing these kinds of things by hand gives you a much better result at the end, and it should be looking something like this. I just like to give my bowl a wee shake just to make sure nothing comes to the top and everything is nicely combined. Once you're happy, you can pop in your sultanas or raisins or whatever dry fruit you prefer to use. I'm just going to give that a wee mix through with a knife just to make sure everything is well coated. And then to this I'm going to add some double cream. If you don't have double cream, you can use heavy whipping cream instead. And then I'm also going to add some whole milk as well. So this is just going to make them extra indulgent, you know, whole fat everything. They're going to be wonderful. And then just give them another wee mix through. Again, I'm just using my knife. So you just want to keep, you know, stirring this through until it all comes together into a ball or a dough, just like this, so that you can pick it up. Just give it a wee move around in the bowl and shape it into a ball in the bowl, because that's going to keep, you know, it's going to contain your mess. It should be quite a sticky dough, but you know, you should be able to work with it. It shouldn't be sticking to your hands too much, and if it is, just pop another wee bit of flour in there. So you want to lightly flour your work surface. You don't have to use as much flour as I have. I went a bit ham with the flour. So you want to get your dough onto your work surface, flip it over a couple of times just to make sure it isn't sticking to your work surface, and then with your rolling pin you want to roll this out to about 1 inch thick. You do want these nice and thick. That's going to give you the nice big scone appearance. The worst thing you can do is make these too thin, because they will just look like a biscuit at the end of your cooking time. So do make sure they're nice and thick. And just for reference, the cutter on the left is the one that I would typically use. The big one is the one that I'm using today, because like I said, I do want nice big scones. So you just want to chomp out your scones. When you're pressing your cutter through your dough, try not to twist it around too much, because you're going to get an uneven rise that way. Just push it straight through, and then just give it a wee wiggle, you know, to separate it from the dough. That's all you have to do. Like I said, don't twist your cutter too much, or you might end up with wonky, you know, wonky scones at the end. So you can re-roll your dough as many times as you like, just to get the most scones from your dough. If you're making large ones like I am, you'll get between 5 and 6, obviously, depending on the size of your cutter. But you can re-roll this, like I said, so do make sure you get as much as you can. So pop those onto a lined baking tray, and the last thing we want to do is either glaze the top of these with a beaten egg or some melted butter or even some milk. It's entirely up to you, and that's you done. All you have to do now is pop these into the centre of your oven, gas mark 6 or 200C, for around 25 minutes until they're looking something like this. And don't they look wonderful? I was super chuffed with these, but you do want to let these cool down if you're going to put cream and jam in the middle. Otherwise your cream is just going to slide everywhere. So if you are going to pop the jam on and the cream like I am, let these cool completely on a wire rack before you put your jam in. But a lot, lots of folk just have these as they are, or even split through the middle with some butter on them. So it is up to you. So I'm just going to quickly whip up my cream whilst these are cooling. These will take probably about 45 minutes to an hour to cool down properly. So into your bowl, pop your double cream or your heavy whipping cream, whatever you're deciding to use. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of icing sugar or confectioner's sugar just to sweeten up the cream a wee bit. You could add some vanilla extract if you don't have any icing sugar. And you want to whip this until it's lovely and thick, but don't over whip it because we're not looking for butter. We just want this cream to be able to stand up on its own so that when you put it on your scone and you put the lid on, it stays in place and it doesn't slide everywhere. Something like this is absolutely ideal. As you can see, as I'm stirring that round there, it is staying up in the middle of the bowl, and that's exactly what you're looking for. But like I said, you don't have to use jam and cream, but this is just how we like to do them. So once your scones are completely cooled, you just want to either cut them through the middle or pull them apart, depending on how you like to do it, and just look how wonderful they look inside. For my jam, I'm going to use a combination of half jam and half dessert sauce, and this is going to give you a lovely fruity, I think it's just much better than the jam alone. So put a good helping of your jam on each side, and then a good dollop or 2 of that cream, and just look how it's standing there on its own. And then pop your lid on, and we're almost done. I'm just going to put a couple of slices of fresh strawberry in, just so that with a couple of bites you do get a nice zing from the fresh strawberry. And you can finish these off with a wee shake of icing sugar passed through a sieve on the top. I'm just going to leave these ones plain, and I'm actually going to do another batch of these, and I sometimes do them just with cream and no jam, and that's what I'm going to do for my second batch. So let me know if you're planning on giving those ones a go. They are absolutely wonderful and well worth the effort. Do you like your scones? Do you put your jam on first or your cream on first? Do let me know in the comments down below. And as usual, a huge thank you to the supporters of the channel over my Patreon page, to the channel members here on YouTube, and for you all for watching and leaving your lovely comments, and for those that share the videos as well. It's all very much appreciated. And I will catch you off as soon back here on What's for Tea. Bye now.